Come on.
Oh, where'd it go? Retweet.
So this is the Pitbull episode of Nerd Cave Retro.
The pit.
305.
Oh, yeah. All right. Let me make sure all this stuff is turned up.
Let's see. Got all my tabs. Got the Google Doc up. So whenever you're ready, I'm good to go.
I am good to go. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Greetings, programs, and it is officially the first episode of 2023. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
2023 just sounds weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like 2022 had a natural ring to it. 2023 just sounds odd, but I mean, 3 is an odd number, so I guess that's fitting. But I don't know. I find that in my experiences of life, the odd numbered years to me have generally been a little bit better than the even numbered ones. So we'll see how it goes. How's your new year off so far?
It's been all right. I didn't get my 2 weeks off like I usually do every year because I have to pay for my stupid car. So I worked through my Christmas vacation. Plus, it kind of worked out since Christmas and New Year's were on the weekend, so I could work during the week. And New Year's was, I actually started to fall asleep about 11, so I pretty much slept through the New Year. And Angelina wakes me up about 12:30 to say Happy New Year and went to bed.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I struggled to stay awake myself. As soon as, it hit midnight, we're like, all right, we're going to bed now.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. Yeah, I don't know how much people can tell, but I am a little bit under the weather today. I started to lose my voice towards the end of yesterday. So I've just been constantly taking cough drops, and I'm on like my 4th cup of tea for today just so I can hold out and do the show because I didn't want to miss the first show of the year. And was the timing of it's unfortunate because I have other episodes of the Derek Diamond Experience that I'm recording tomorrow and Wednesday. So whatever gods you believe in, pray that they be with me for the next couple of days as my voice recovers.
If you feel like your voice is slipping over the course of the show, let me know and I'll take over all the the news segments and everything.
We'll blame it on puberty.
Yeah, there you go. Rampage in the chat room.
Rampage. Yeah, it's I go back to work tomorrow after being off for 2 weeks. And on one hand, I'm kind of ready to get back into like a normal routine because my sleeping habits have been horrible the last couple of weeks where I've just been, going to bed whenever and waking up whenever. So it'll take a little bit of getting used to, but I'm excited to get back.
That's the best part of vacation is just kind of falling asleep whenever, waking up whenever.
The other day I slept till almost 9. And I don't think I've done that in like 2 years because I normally wake up at like 5 or 6.
That's about the latest I can sleep when I do sleep in. Like my body will not go past like 9 o'clock trying to sleep in. I used to be able to sleep till like 2 in the afternoon when I was a teenager.
See, I've never understood that. Like my body has never let me, even when I would go through phases where I would stay up till like 2 or 3 in the morning, I'd still wake up at 6 because my body won't let me sleep past then.
That's weird. My body does not want to get up at 6. I've been getting up at 6 in the morning for however many years I've been a working adult now. And my body still, I'm 45 years old. My body's like, what are we doing up this early, man? Why can't we just stay in bed? Like my natural time to wake up is usually about 7:15, 7:30. Like that's when my body wants to wake up.
That's not terrible though. Like at 7:30 is respectable. 8 to me is where you start to get into that territory of sleeping in.
Yeah.
Anything after that, if you sleep till like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. Like the only time I've ever done that is when I've been sick.
Yeah. Oh man, when I was a teenager on the weekends, I would sleep the entire day away. It was great.
There is one exception to that. My first year of working full time with the Blue Wahoos, this was before I actually moved to Pensacola. We had just finished working the first homestand of the year, and I had the next 2 days off. And then when I woke up, like the sun was just coming in from my window and just hitting me right in the face. And I was like, well, I guess I should get up and get some breakfast. And I looked at my clock and it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Ooh. You know what's
Like,
great, especially this time of the year when it gets dark so early? Do you ever take a nap like in the afternoon, like say around 3 or 4, and you wake up around 5:30 and it's dusk and you have no idea what day it is? You're just like, where am I? What happened?
I very rarely nap, but my wife is a napping connoisseur, and that is about the time that she naps. She normally takes a nap around 2:30 or 3 and will wake up around 5:30.
Yeah, and you wake up and you're just like, what day is it? I have no idea what day it is.
Like Robin Williams from Jumanji, what
Yeah,
year is it?
what year? Oh man, but how was your New Year's? Did y'all do anything? Did y'all celebrate, or you just kind of hang out at the house?
Just hung out at the house. That trip to Tennessee we went on took a lot out of us, where we were just constantly, like, it was a fun vacation, but we were just constantly doing stuff,
Yeah,
and we barely left the house all of last week, which was nice. So it's been good to just kind of recover from
yeah,
everything and kind of get the year off to a relaxing start.
yep. And to get the year started off right, are you ready to go into the news for this evening?
Yes, sir.
Tonight's stories were submitted to us by I Am the Rampage and Armez Jackson. And if you have a story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. The first story tonight comes from comicbook.com. A new version of Xbox Game Pass could be a game changer. A new and cheaper tier of Xbox Game Pass may be coming to PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series S, and Xbox Series X users in the future. Right now, there are 2 tiers of Xbox Game Pass. There's the standard tier, which runs $10 a month, and then there's the premium tier, which runs at $15. For an extra $5 a month, subscribers get access to the EA Play Library, Xbox Live Gold, and variety of perks and limited time offers. There's been talk about both of these versions increasing in price, and this may still happen, but a new survey suggests that before this happens, a cheaper ad-filled version will release first. The tier mentioned in the survey doesn't have a name, but it looks like it would come with your Xbox Live Gold, like Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, but be cheaper than even the standard tier due to being supported by ads. In addition to ads, the tier would be made cheaper by tweaking the subscription service's biggest feature. The biggest appeal is the ability to play Xbox Game Pass Studios games at launch. This new tier would tweak this formula and give subscribers access to the same games 6 months after their launch. Meanwhile, there would also be ads in these games to further subsidize the price. I mean, it sounds okay, for if you're just kind of jumping in. But I don't think I would want to be playing a game and then have like an ad pop up in the middle of while you're playing. Like, nah, I don't want to do that. I think it's good for people that just that have never done a game like a Game Pass or anything like that to kind of get their feet wet and see what it's all about, see if they want to spend the extra money. But if it was up to me, I would just go ahead and get that $10 tier and just don't even worry about the ads.
That seems to be an increasing trend. Like Netflix is doing it. There
Yep.
are, like, Peacock has an ad tier that's cheaper than like the premium service, but to me it's worth the extra money to not worry
Yeah.
about the ads, especially like if I'm playing a game and I see an ad pop up. I'm going to be livid
Yeah.
if that happens. Like, for movies or TV shows, like, I can understand it because it's almost like a commercial break,
Yeah.
but I don't want ads on my video games when I'm
If
playing them. So I get the tier being there if I guess if you're more of a casual user of it and you don't want to spend as much money. But to me, the extra money is worth it to not worry about the ads.
Yeah, and if it gave you an option to like watch these 2 minutes of ads and you get to play the rest of your session for with no ads, I'd be okay with that. Hulu used to do stuff like that, but then I got the ad-free tier of Hulu, which I love so much better than having to watch ads. But I always appreciated that when Hulu used to do that. It'd be like, watch 2 minutes of ads and you get to watch the whole TV show ad-free. Like that makes sense to me. But man, this sounds weird, like playing a game and then all of a sudden an ad will pop up. Like, I don't like that.
Maybe they'll come out with a service like you just mentioned with Hulu where you get to watch a couple of minutes of ads.
Yeah.
I would prefer that, but we'll see. And I don't own an Xbox, but if I were, or if I did, I'd totally stick with the ad free one.
Yeah, same here.
And it's not a particularly tough choice to make.
Yeah.
From escapistmagazine.com, I'm actually really excited about this. Sports Story has shadow launched on Nintendo Switch. This article was released on December 23rd. So at that time, it was the final day of the Inside the House of Indies holiday event on Nintendo's YouTube channel, which cast a spotlight on several upcoming and newly launched indie games for Nintendo Switch. The event culminated with a surprise announcement that Sidebar Games' Sports Story is out now on the Switch for $14.99. The last Nintendo Indie World Showcase had announced that Sports Story would come out on Switch sometime in December, and now here it is. We talked about this a few weeks ago on the show, actually. This was revealed in December 2019 as a more fully featured follow-up to the well-received Switch-exclusive Golf Story. This new game contains 8 more unique golf courses, a tennis world tour, and the ability to start a soccer team. From there, gameplay will branch out to include unlockable BMX, mini golf, cricket, volleyball, fishing, and other activities. There's also exploration in between all the sports, including taking a train, helicopter, or houseboat to check out dungeons, ruins, and the mysterious wildlands. So we talked about this a few weeks ago, and the concept of it, sports meets RPG, is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I would have never put these two genres together. But it's one of those things that it's crazy enough to where I would think it would work.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to pick this up in the next couple of weeks and give this a go because it's very intriguing to me. And I think $15 is fair.
Yeah, that's not bad. And if you do, let me know, because I heard so much good stuff about Golf Story that this is interesting to me. Like, I'm not that into golf, but if you give me BMX, mini golf, stuff like that, then I'm interested, because as you're reading this and you see BMX, the first thing that pops in my head is Excite Bike. And I'm like, man, why doesn't Nintendo put out a new version of Excite Bike where you can, you can make your own tracks, you can like tweak your bikes, make your own, rider character or whatever. Like, that would be a really cool thing to bring back for Nintendo.
I think so too. And there's enough variety where I don't think the game would get old really quickly. So I'm very interested in checking this out.
Yeah, I mean, the most fun you could have on Excite Bike was the track creator. One of the very first like creator things like that on a game that I can remember, where you could go in and make your own tracks and everything. Like, I don't remember being able to do that on anything else at the time.
No, I don't think so either.
But that would be fun. I would play a new Excite Bike. This other story is from NintendoLife.com, one of our favorite sites. Kung Fury Street Rage Cabinet hits Arcade Paradise in January. Wired Productions, almost said weird. Wired Productions has announced that Arcade Paradise will be getting Kung Fury Street Rage DLC on January 12th at a very reasonable price of $2.99. The game itself is already available on Steam and was announced to be coming to the Switch earlier this year as an Ultimate Edition, but its DLC arrival on Arcade Paradise marks the first fully licensed and playable game to come to the game, enjoying over 35 existing original titles already available. Let's see. Here is some information. It's 1985 and the violence is raging in the streets of Miami. It's going to take the toughest martial arts cop and 3 hard-as-nails enforcers from across space and time to clean them up. Choose your fighter. Pick from 4 characters. Fight waves of enemies. Go back to the 80s, authentic retro arcade gameplay and VHS aesthetics with a synth soundtrack to beat down to provide provided by Swedish electro sensations Mitch Murder and Joel Eriksson. I want to play this because I love Kung Fury and the sequel so much. They did put out the sequel not too long ago, didn't they?
I thought so.
It's not.
I
I
can't
don't think it's
remember.
as memorable as the original, but man, that original Kung Fury movie is just so batshit crazy.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, this looks really cool. I love the graphics. It looks like a beefed up Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis game. I like
Yeah,
the color palette. It's very eye catching, and it seems like the beat 'em up genre. We keep bringing it up every
yeah.
couple of weeks on the show. It seems to be making a comeback still.
Definitely looks like something that would have either been on the Genesis or maybe on the old Amiga computers or something back in the day. Like it's got that sort of look to it.
Hmm. Yeah, the characters look cool. I love the environment, and who wouldn't want to listen to a soundtrack by someone named Mitch Murder?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, if you're listening to this and you've never seen Kung Fury, do yourself a favor. I think it's available on YouTube, it might be on Amazon Prime as well. Just go look up Kung Fury and go watch it. It's available somewhere, and you will not regret it. I promise you.
Let me look that up real quick.
Yeah,
Yeah, wherever it is, definitely check it out because you're in for a ride.
it is.
Let's see,
It's
Kung Fury.
insane.
Um, well, darn, you have to buy it.
Oh, really? How much
Yeah,
is it to
according to Just
buy?
Watch. Let's see. On Apple TV, it's
Oh,
199. This can't be right. On Amazon, it says you can buy it for 1999.
is that for the DVD or Blu-ray? Because why can't you just
Uh,
rent it? 'Cause I know it
let's
was on
see.
Amazon Prime for a little while, if I'm not mistaken. Because I think
Yep.
I watched it on YouTube
Prime
originally.
Video buy an HD for 1999.
Huh. Well, even
That's
still,
really weird.
if you have Apple TV, $1.99, go watch it.
Yep. Yeah, it's worth that. And let's see, our last story also comes to us from NintendoLife.com. Final Fantasy 1 to 6 have been rated for Nintendo Switch by the ESRB.
Ooh.
Here's a lovely bit of news to kickstart your week. The first 6 Final Fantasy games have been rated for the Nintendo Switch. While nothing has been officially announced at this time of writing, this is presumably the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster set, which originally released on mobile devices back in 2021 before making its way to PC. Fans have since been clamoring for a console release, and now it looks like Square Enix might be about to answer our prayers. As spotted on Reddit, the ESRB has rated all 6 Final Fantasy games separately for Windows PC, PS4, and Nintendo Switch. As pointed out, well-known Twitter account Wario64 posted a similar ESRB rating earlier in 2022 for the PC release, while PS4 and Switch were absent from the list of platforms. Those have since been added. So if this is legitimate, I mean, the Final Fantasy games, they're part of that large set of games where I'm like, why is it not already on the Switch?
Yeah, yeah. This would just make sense because you got all those you got the pixel remaster done. The Switch is the most perfect spot to put it, and this just makes sense, 100% sense. And I started to play. I think it's Final Fantasy IV that was on the Super Nintendo. Because I think wasn't it one? No, was it Final Fantasy? Whichever one it was. The
On
one
the classic?
no, well, it might be on the Super Nintendo Classic, but I never had a Super Nintendo Classic. I just have a ROM of it.
Okay.
Whichever the first one was for the Super Nintendo, started playing it for a bit, and it's really good. I kind of got stuck in one part, and I was like, well, I'm just going to come back to it, and kind of never did. So, but if this comes out on the Switch, this is the place where I want to play it, is on the Switch. So, that happens, might actually go ahead and pick it up.
Yeah, I'll do the same because I played a little bit of Final Fantasy 3 because I reviewed it a while back on the show because that's the one I believe that's on the Super Nintendo Classic, but I never finished it. So this will give me the chance to do it. I've never played really any of the other ones. So I think this makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. Rampage is right. He's in the chat room and says that Kung Fury's still on YouTube, and it is. I just looked it
Okay.
up, and it's the first thing that comes up. Just put Kung Fury in the search bar, and it's the first thing that pops up.
Okay.
31 minutes and 3 seconds of your life you will not regret.
Just strap yourselves in.
Yeah. But that brings us to the end of what did Rampage say? Final Fantasy 19 through 17, Episode 3, Part 1, Chapter 2. I agree. uh, I'm about to sneeze. Before I do that, let's go and move into this month in video game history. January of 1985, Commodore releases their final 8-bit computer, the Commodore 128. Never had this. I had a Commodore 64. Never had the Commodore 128.
Yeah, it was released in 85 and then discontinued just 4 years later
It
in
looks very
1989.
plain. Like it doesn't really have a pleasing aesthetic to it.
Nope, just looks like it's about as basic as you can
Yeah, it's
get,
like your
really.
standard 1980s office computer.
Yep, exactly. Never got into Commodore games since, I've been a retro gamer, but one day I'll have to rectify that.
Yeah, I might have to search for a Commodore 64 Mini and see if I can find one somewhere.
Yeah. January 2nd, 1988, Electronic Arts releases Wasteland.
Ooh, what is Wasteland? I don't remember Wasteland. It's got
I
really
re-
cool cover art, though. I can tell
yeah,
you that.
I remember us talking about the cover art. It looks like a movie poster.
Yeah.
I love that.
Game is set in a futuristic post-apocalyptic America destroyed by a nuclear holocaust generations before. Now they're speaking my language. Can I play this now? This is totally up my alley.
It was remastered for the Xbox One in February of 2020, which I did not know that.
Ooh, I might have to play that soon. I'm gonna get my hands on an Xbox Series X here soon, and I might have to play that.
Yeah, I think at some point this year I'm going to pull the trigger and get one of those
I
myself.
should have got the holiday bundle, but I missed it. Let's see, January of 1991, the first 2 THQ releases came out in stores. Fox's Peter Pan and the Pirates, The Revenge of Captain Hook, and Bo Jackson, 2 games in 1. Man,
Yeah,
who remembers Bo Jackson? I had a Bo Jackson poster on my wall around this time.
still one of the best athletes of all time. I don't know nothing about this game, but I bet you it incorporates both football and baseball.
It's kind of a shame. You never hear about Bo Jackson anymore.
Mm-mm.
People always talk about like Michael Jordan and stuff, but Bo Jackson was like, man, yeah, Rampage. Bo knows. That was the whole
Yeah,
campaign behind him. Bo knows this. Bo knows that.
I mean, Michael Jordan tried his hand at baseball and wasn't that great at
Yeah.
it. Bo
And
Jackson was good at both football and baseball.
yeah, he would like, like scoring touchdowns all over the place, and then he'd go play baseball and just smash balls out of the stadiums. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, but the crazy thing about this story is I guess I thought THQ was older. I didn't know that they just first came out in 91.
I thought they were older too. I don't know.
I would have guessed like 87 or
Yeah,
88,
because they
but
seem
no, it
like
was in
that.
the 90s.
They seem like one of those legacy companies, that's been around forever.
Mm-hmm. January 11th, 1992, Hudson Soft releases Super Adventure Island for the Super Nintendo in Japan. I remember hearing about this game growing up because it came out in the States a few months after that. I remember reading about it in the magazines,
Mhm.
but never played it.
I don't think I ever played Super Adventure Island. I think I might have. I may have rented it back in the day. I might have to rectify that and get a copy of it to play because I did like the original Adventure Island for NES. I mean, it's a little dated at this point. Like it's not as fun as you remember it being, but it's still a pretty fun. It's a serviceable. It's a side scroller, but it's more of a rolling side scroller because he's on a skateboard. So it's interesting gameplay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Second to last, we got January 24th of 2000. Hudson Soft releases Mario Party 2 for the N64 in North America. I didn't know Hudson Soft did the Mario Party games.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, it's I didn't get as into the Mario Party games as like friends of mine, but I remember two being the one that I think people really got into. Like
Mm-hmm.
the first one was popular, but the second one is really when the popularity took off.
I have a
I remember
confession.
playing it.
I've
Oh, go
never
ahead.
played a Mario Party game.
Really?
Ever.
Yeah, they're pretty fun. I dabbled into them a little bit on the N64, but like I said, I didn't really get into them all that much.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until the Wii came out with their virtual console when I got Mario Party 2 for it. And me and my friends, we'd spend like hours on the weekends. You know, if we weren't playing Halo or something like that, we would break out the Wii and play Mario Party.
Mm-hmm.
But they're pretty fun.
I mean, I'm sure they are. I just never had a chance to play one.
Let's see, our last one, January 14th of 2003. Yes, now that we're in 2023, 2003 makes the cut for gaming history. EA releases SimCity 4 for Windows.
You just said
I can't
2003 was 20 years ago, and I think I just melted like the guy in Indiana Jones. Oh my God.
and next year will be 20 years since I graduated high school.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm coming up on 30. In 2 years, it'll be 30 years.
Oh wow.
I graduated. No, 30. Is it 30? Yeah, 30 years.
Man,
1995.
that's crazy.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either. But I never got into the SimCity games, and I can't believe that the fourth one is already 20 years old.
I know. I love SimCity. I never really play it that much anymore. I'll dabble here and there because I just love city builders and stuff like that. I love the God games. You know, I love things
Hmm.
like Civ and all that kind of stuff. But they put out a new SimCity, I would definitely play it.
Yeah, I'd be willing to give it a shot too.
But next up, before we go into the review, I usually have Derek do the Patreon shout outs, but I'm going to give your voice a rest this evening before we go into the review. And I will take on the Patreon shout outs. And these are our lovely patrons who give us money every single month to keep this show rolling. And up first, we have Mr. John West, we have Daniel Salmon, Tyler Watson, Axeblade07, Armez Jackson, Carlos Logangoria, aka I Am the Rampage,
Rampage.
Staff Sergeant Sketch, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Joey Image, and of course, Donna, aka Mama Diamond, as our lovely patrons. And as usual, it's the first of the month, so I think everybody's card went through okay this month. But if you're a new patron, it is the best time to jump in. It's the beginning of the month. You're going to get the whatever extra content we put out, you're going to get it early. Usually we do every month we do commentary tracks, but we got to get back over that $50 hump every month. We're almost back up to $50 a month to do our commentary tracks, which is, Derek, help me out. What all have we done? We've done Double Dragon. We've
Oh
done...
geez, we've done Transformers the movie, Super
Mhm.
Mario Brothers the movie. We've done animated shows like Batman, Darkwing Duck, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, Real Ghostbusters.
We've
I
been
feel like it's
done...
been forever since we've done a Real Ghostbusters
Oh
episode.
no, I love doing those. Are my favorite ones to do. We did the Captain N, the Game Master back in the
Yep.
day. We did
The
let's
Super
see.
Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yeah, we did Full House and Family Matters. We did a
Yep.
TGIF episode. So that's what we do when you guys support us every single month. And if you're a new patron, send us your social media info either on Twitter, Facebook, email, or on Patreon so you can give you a proper social media shout out. And please go. If you don't have the money, we understand. Here's the thing. Go give us a review. Because you know what? Next week, and I haven't forgot, this Street Fighter VHS is up for grabs. Whoever gives us a review or a rating and then takes a screenshot and send it to us, you're in the running to win this lovely VHS cassette tape of Street Fighter the movie. You already got a few in so far, and don't forget if you already have done a review before, you're automatically entered. Or if you want, you can go give the Derek Diamond Experience a review and a rating, and that will also put you back into the running for the VHS tape. Because as we all know, the Derek Diamond Experience is awesome, and it's back, baby. And I listened to it the other day, and it's just as good as ever.
I appreciate that. Seems to be happy that the show's back, which is it makes it worth it that I brought it back. But yeah, go give both Nerd Cave Retro and Derek Diamond Experience a review, because we've stressed it before, but the more reviews we get, the more visible we are when people search for podcasts. So the reviews do matter. So it just takes a minute or two to do. So we'd very much appreciate it.
But yeah, big thank you to our patrons already. If you'd love to be a patron, go to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And tonight, Derek will be talking about... people always kind of talk crap about the Sega Genesis sound chip. I always thought it sounded pretty cool myself.
I'm so happy you picked that specific song, because I have a funny story regarding it. Yeah, I agree. I think the Sega sound chip was actually underrated. I mean, look at how much we've praised the Sonic music. And the majority of the Sonic music I like came from the Genesis.
Well, they're so distinct from each other, the Super Nintendo sound chip and the Genesis. Genesis sounds more rock and roll and metal, like the stuff, like it just sounds, heavier, like, with the snare, like the drums sound beefier. But the Super Nintendo has, like, it's a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, mellow.
I don't want to say like pop like, but lighter in tone than the Genesis.
I mean, it definitely had its moments, but it just definitely more smooth sounding than the Genesis. The Genesis is more like just rock and roll, while the Super Nintendo was kind of like pop,
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But yeah, so this week I'll be reviewing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Hyperstone Heist, which was released in 1992. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up game developed and published by Konami for the Sega Genesis. It was Konami's debut title for the Genesis and was re-released as part of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga Collection in 2022.
This was their debut title? I didn't know that.
For the Genesis, yes.
Wow.
So, interesting. So, as a side note, before I talk about my thoughts on the game, so I got the Cowabunga Collection as a Christmas gift, and I've been wanting to play it since it came out, but I just haven't gotten around to getting it yet. This was the game that I wanted to play the most, besides replaying Turtles in Time, of course, because that's one of my favorite games of all time.
You actually made me laugh when I was reading the notes for the show.
I was hoping you'd catch that little reference. I'll bring that up in a second.
Okay.
So this was the first game that I played on the Cowabunga Collection. And I looked at the graphics and I'm like, okay, it looks similar to Turtles in Time, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The music you played is from the first level, New York City. It is the exact same track that was used in Big Apple 3 AM in Turtles in Time. And I'm like, what else is similar, or did they recycle? I like the song. It's arguably my favorite from the soundtrack, but I'm like, did Konami get a little lazy with this?
Did they recycle a lot for this game?
Not as much as you would think. Like, the graphics look the same. The fighting is pretty much the same. You can't do so in Turtles in Time. You have the ability to grab your enemies and throw them at the screen, where it looks like they're flying at you in the face.
Yeah.
Because you actually have to do that the first time you fight Shredder.
Well, that was because of the Mode 7 chip in the Super Nintendo.
You don't have that ability with Hyperstone Heist.
Yeah,
So there is that difference. Some of the boss fights are different, which is good, but there are some music and level recycling. So like in the second part, so the way the game is divided up, Turtles in Time had 10 levels that were all relatively short. Hyperstone Heist has 5 that each have different phases. So like
hmm,
stage 1 is New York City, where you start in the sewer and then you come out to New York City, which is essentially a rehashed level 2 from Turtles in Time. That's when I was really like, okay,
hmm.
what are y'all doing here? Like I didn't know if I was gonna like the game from there on out, but it does get different, as the game progresses, and there's a lot to like about this game, and I almost unfairly compared it to Turtles in Time because it's so similar,
Yeah.
but it is fun in its own way. Like it has its own storyline. So basically, at the beginning of the game, Shredder uses the Hyperstone, which is something he retrieved in Dimension X, to shrink the Statue of Liberty in Manhattan. So you go to fight Shredder and get the Hyperstone back so you can restore Manhattan. And throughout the game, you go through 5 levels, which are New York City, a mysterious ghost ship, Shredder's hideout, the Gauntlet, and what's called the final shell shock. The Gauntlet is pretty difficult because you have to fight all the bosses that you have faced up to that point.
That's why they call it the Gauntlet.
Exactly. And the more the game progresses, it gets very stingy with health.
hmm
So like in Turtles in Time, you pick up boxes of pizza to replenish your health. And the final shell shock, guess how many healing pizzas there are in the level?
Maybe one,
0.
0.
And you have to fight Krang and Super Shredder back to back.
Ew. This kind
The
of
good,
sounds like the original Ninja Turtles
yes,
for the NES. It's like the further you get in the game, the game does not help you at all.
the difficulty increases quite a bit. So the first 2 levels are relatively easy.
Is
The
it?
third the
Do you?
third is when it starts to ramp up, but then 4 and 5 are just kind of nuts. Because the cool thing is, so like if you beat Krang but you lose to Super Shredder, it picks you back up right before the Super Shredder
Okay.
battle. So you don't have to go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
If you lose to Krang, you have to go through the whole level again before you fight
Well,
him.
it says this is multiplayer too. I've never played this Ninja Turtles game. Was this sort of one of those games like if there was another player who jumped in the game with you, does it increase still with the amount of difficulty, or would it stay like it is, but you have another person to kind of shoulder that load?
That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. I would think that the difficulty would increase a little bit because I think that happened with the arcade game,
hmm
where if you had all 4
Yeah.
players, there would be more enemies on screen. What's cool is that arcade game, the one that I played as a kid, is on the Cowabunga Collection.
Oh,
Because
nice.
I recognize the opening cutscene because Samantha got it for me, and she looks at me, she's like, "So are you really liking that game?" And I said, "I played this arcade game religiously as a kid." So
She
she's
could
like, "So you like it?" Like,
see.
yes, I do.
I gotta get this. I gotta get this Cowabunga collection. I don't know why I haven't bought it yet. But man, if I could go back in time and tell my 12-year-old self that you could play the Ninja Turtles arcade game on a handheld device, it would have blown my brain in half.
Same. Yeah, because I think there's like 13 games on there between the
Yeah,
NES games. They have the Game Boy games on there. They have Turtles in Time, Hyperstone Heist, and all the arcade games.
yeah. Yeah, it
So
looks like it's got
it's
all
worth
the
it.
Game Boy games, the arcade game, the of course all the NES games, the Super Nintendo games. So this is well worth the money for the Cowabunga collection.
Oh, 100%. I will say I think actually prefer the longer level format for this as opposed to Turtles in Time. Like I like the idea of going through different phases. Like what I was saying with New York City, where you start in the sewers and then you come out into the actual city and fight through that before you get to the actual boss fight.
Mhm.
I think it added, you know, layers to each. Like, I wish there were more. I would have added maybe like two more, and it would have been perfect because the game still seems kind of short, even though there are these different layers to the five levels. It still felt like, I was able to beat it in relatively no time at all. Like, I think I had beat it. I started playing it the day after Christmas and beat it like a day later,
Mhm.
2 days later. So it's relatively short, and to me there's not a huge difference with playing as, either of the four turtles. I primarily use Donatello. Every now and then I would switch to Michelangelo, but Donatello's always been my guy, even though he's been, the slower turtle. I just
Mhm.
like the long range of the bow staff.
Me too. I never played him when I was younger, playing any of these games, especially the original NES game. I never picked Donnie ever.
Yeah.
I always played, Leonardo or Michelangelo. But as the older I got, I realized Donatello is the only way you're going to get through that game because he's the strongest. He may be the slowest, but he's the strongest with his attacks. And, like poor Michelangelo in that first NES game, he's just cannon fodder in that game. He
Yeah.
cannot do any damage whatsoever.
Raphael's not that great either, just because the size are so short.
But Raphael, the only good way to use Raphael is if you're going to be in a section with a lot of flying enemies, because he can take out flying enemies with one hit. He's the only one that can do that.
That is true. I played that NES game a couple of days ago, and I was like, "Ooh, Donatello's rough in this game." It
But
was,
once you get used to
uh,
playing him, it's
yeah,
great. You just have to compensate for that, half-second delay of using the bow staff. But I mean, the bow staff he's the strongest turtle in that game. He's the only way to
hmm
defeat the not the oh crap, what's it called? The Technodrome. He's the only
yep,
one you're going to be able to use to defeat the Technodrome. None of the other turtles can defeat the Technodrome.
hmm yeah. So going back to Hyperstone Heist, some of my favorite things about these Ninja Turtles arcade style games are the boss fights because
Hmm.
I like the villain characters. Like they've just always been interesting to me.
Yeah.
So in this game, you fight Leatherhead, Rocksteady, and what surprised me, and I didn't know this until I got to the boss fight, you get to fight Tatsu, who was Shredder's right hand man in the original movie. And his attack, he throws these like spear things at you. But other than that, he just sends foot soldiers after you. And I'm like, that's so perfect because that's what he does in the movie.
Which is cool because he was never in the cartoon ever.
No, he
He's
wasn't at all.
only in the movie, but they added him in this game as part of. I think Tatsu needs to be added back into the Turtles lore.
He should be canon.
He should be.
I would do the grunt, but it would kill my voice and the podcast would be it would be over. So go back and listen to last week's show because I think I
Yeah.
did it there. So yeah, that was a nice surprise. And then you fight Baxter Stockman, not the fly version like you did in Turtles in Time, but the human, and he's in this giant flying machine and he just drops a ton of mousers on you.
Hmm.
The cool thing is, so I think it's the first 100 kills you get an extra life, and then from there on out, every 200 you get an extra life. So if you're running low on lives and you get to these boss fights, you can just keep killing foot soldiers and mousers and work your kill count up. If you
Yeah.
have like say one life left and you want to get another one before you get into the battle with Krang and Shredder, it's a good word of advice there. And then, as I mentioned, Krang and Super Shredder are the final two bosses that you have to fight. Which honestly, fighting Krang was much more difficult to me than Super Shredder was. With Shredder, you just have to be patient
Hmm.
because, like in Shredder's Revenge, there's just a very small window where you can actually harm him. But Krang, he flies all over the place, and the thing is, like, if he hits you, you don't really get much recovery time because he'll come right after you and just start kicking you, punching you. So you have to be very cerebral with the final two boss fights. But I liked that challenge because, as I mentioned, the first couple of levels were almost too easy, and I like that the difficulty got ramped up as the game went on.
So
So
how was the controls for this game? Because I know it's weird to take a Genesis game and put it to Nintendo style controller, because the Genesis always had the 3 button or the 6 button later on, but the 3 buttons in a row. So it's always weird to go play Genesis games like on a Switch because the buttons are completely different.
it's tough to say because I didn't play this game on the Genesis, so I don't know what that was like. But I personally had no problem with the controls, because I played Turtles in Time as well, and they play pretty much exactly the same. So I personally didn't have a problem with the controls.
And was this the only game that came out for the Genesis?
For
For
Ninja
Ninja
Turtles, I
Turtles?
believe so, because you
Uh,
had,
oh, they had tournament fighters too, but I don't really necessarily count that as a
as far as like a story driven game,
yeah.
like the old arcade games. Yeah, this is the only one.
Huh.
Tournament Fighters, I keep going back to the Cowabunga Collection, but the Tournament Fighters games are on that collection as well. I haven't played those yet,
I don't think I've
but
ever
I've
played them either.
mm-mm.
We might have to dual review that.
Yeah, I definitely think you should get it because it's worth it
Mhm.
just to have the old school games.
I'm definitely going to get it. I mean, this is my number one purchase for the year is to get the Cowabunga collection. I'm just waiting to finish up my Terminator game before I pick up
Yeah,
anything else.
yeah. No, I can understand that. But as far as the reception of the game goes, received mostly positive reviews. In Game Fan magazine, they said Konami brings the arcade thrill home with a beat 'em up, blast a minute that has some of the best character animation you'll ever see. Some of the most hilarious two-player beat 'em up action ever seen. A 16-bit graphic and game playing work of art. The most common criticisms of the Hyperstone Heist focus on its difficulty, length, and repetitiveness. Megatech magazine gave an overall 87%, praising the graphics and sound, but commenting that the gameplay wasn't hard enough and experienced players will be able to beat the game easily. Electronic Gaming Monthly gave it a 31 out of 40. Game Fan a 190 out of 200. Mega Action 78%, Mega Tech 87, and Power Unlimited is 90. So I do like this game. Um it was kind of tough for me to fairly compare it because it's so similar to Turtles in Time, but I like the storyline. I like that the boss fights were different.
Mhm.
Sure, the animations, the graphics, and the controls are relatively the same, but at the same time, if something works, why go through all the effort to change it?
Yeah.
So it's not as good of a game as Turtles in Time, but if you are a Turtles fan and you like the old NES games, if you like Turtles in Time, you'll have fun playing Hyperstone Heist. So I'll give Hyperstone Heist a 7.5.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'll give it an 8. I'll
Okay.
give it an 8 out of 10. It is a good game in its own right, minus the comparisons to Turtles in Time. So
It's really cool that they did the Cowabunga collection like this. You could get all those old games in one spot. I think they need to do that with more franchises, especially with
agreed.
old Super Nintendo, Nintendo, Sega Genesis games. Put them all in one collection. No, like Mega Man collections and all that kind of stuff. It would be. It's just we're ready for it. We want this stuff. Like this is just great.
I'll sum it up as to what I said in the notes. Overall, not as good as Tit, with a smiley face with the tongue sticking out. Still an enjoyable game.
You almost made me do a spit take when I saw that because I was drinking my coffee and I saw that and I almost spit coffee everywhere.
Every now and then, I'll leave funny notes in the Google Doc. But yeah, I listened to or I thought back to when we had Wally and Joey on the show, and I mentioned Turtles in Time, and Joey called it Tit.
Yeah. So that's a Joeyism.
Joeyism, yes.
And I was reading down here too. It says Screw Attack named the Hyperstone Heist the 19th best Genesis game ever on their top 20 list. That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
But yeah, I can't wait to get the Cowabunga Collection. I'm so looking forward to it. I mean,
You'll love it.
I still play the original NES game more than I probably should because I'm addicted to that game. But just to be able to have all these games in one place, like I love it.
And you'll get to play the NES game on the Switch.
And maybe I'll be able to beat it. Maybe. Does it have any sort of like rewind features or I mean, I know it's got save features, but
I don't know if it has a rewind feature. I haven't dabbled too much into that specifically, but yeah, it does have, loading and saving, which was very helpful for this game specifically.
because that was the only way I was able to beat the original Mega Man was to play it on the Mega Man collection on the Switch and have that rewind feature.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I mean, they need to take all these old properties like they did, like the Mega Man collection, the Cowabunga collection. They should do like they've been doing it with Castlevania collections and stuff like that. Like, man, maybe this is what we need to do moving forward. Like, give me a Bad Dudes collection, like a Double Dragon collection. I would pay good money for that stuff.
That would be cool. I agree. More franchises should do that.
Give me a whole Ninja Gaiden collection, like, please.
Mm-hmm.
Even add the old arcade game onto it, because there's nowhere to play the old arcade game because it was originally a beat 'em up. It was not like it was for the Nintendo. Oh, Rampage says there is a Double Dragon trilogy. Oh, I didn't know that. I'm out of the loop.
Let's see. He says Tournament Fighters for Super Nintendo was still the better game.
Yeah, he said Raph has a Psycho Crusher attack like Bison from Street Fighter, and he can do it in the
That's
air,
cool.
plus a projectile attack. Awesome. That's his attack in the Manhattan Project too. He does that like spin attack as his super move or whatever.
Yeah, I need to play those Tournament Fighters games.
Yeah, we'll have to do that and review those like that.
Yeah, we
'cause
should.
I've never really played them. But that's going to bring us to the end of the review, I think. Is that anything else you got to say about it?
Nope. Those are my thoughts on the Hyperstone Heist.
Awesome. Next week, I'm not sure. I got a busy week ahead of me, so I may just do Die Hard for the NES. I may stream it if I find an extra couple of hours before next week. I think I'm going to save Terminator Dawn of Fate until I can really dive into it for the PlayStation 2. I just got that. Actually, my brother got me Metal Gear Solid 2, I think, for the PlayStation 2 for Christmas. I'm going to play that too and probably review it here in the next couple of months. So I got a lot of stuff to play and review. I just need to find the time to play it. But I think next week will be Die Hard because I'm kind of looking forward to playing that on the NES.
I'm excited to hear what you say about it.
But that's going to bring us to the end of the show this week. And before anything, I do want to say, please go give @DeadGamePod a follow and go subscribe to them on all your podcatchers now. That is the official fact checker, Mr. Wally Phelps, and I am the Rampage. Their new podcast called Dead Game Podcast, and I listened to the first 3 episodes today, and it's a very good show, especially if you like listening to Wally talk about what he would do if he were given the keys to fix these games while Rampage laughs at him.
Yeah, no, it's a very good show. Everyone should check it out.
Yeah, it's @DeadGamePod on Twitter, and you can go follow Dead Game Pod on YouTube and wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. And you're welcome, Rampage. It's a great show. I think people should go listen to it.
It's good stuff.
But tell us what's going on with the Derek Diamond experience.
Yeah, so the newest episode is out now, so you can go check that out. This episode is the first of a 3-part series that's a behind-the-scenes look of my latest short film, The Feature. It features guest host our mutual friend Jeremy Branch. He interviews myself, Chad Sanders, and Steve Wise about the making of the film. You'll hear interviews from the cast over the next couple of weeks. And yeah, those episodes will be on YouTube as well. You just search for the Derek Diamond Experience on YouTube, and then you can follow the show on social media at D Diamond Podcast.
And go check out the Open Micers podcast at Open Micers on Twitter and Instagram. Next Monday will be the trifecta for Mr. Derek Diamond. He gets the
Yes, sir.
the hat trick, the Triple Crown. It'll be his third time on the show, and to talk about the future. And we will be back to a normal schedule starting next week because Jacob has got a new job now. So we'll be back on Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. Central for the live show. So if you like to watch that, we'll be back to a normal schedule starting next week. And I think that's about it. Is there anything else we need to say before we walk out the door?
No, I think we're good.
If you would like to email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. If you want to go follow us everywhere, find everything, just go to nerdcaveretro.com. That takes you straight to our link tree, which takes you to our Twitter, our Instagram, our Facebook, the Patreon, and of course, ncrmerch.com, where we have t-shirts, mugs, bags, we got stickers, magnets, coffee mugs, whatever you need, ncrmerch.com. Of course, our Patreon is patreon.com/nerdcaveretro, where as little as $1 a month helps out the show, and we can, it keeps the lights on here at the show. And if you can't do that, I understand. Times are tough. Please leave us a review wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. So, Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
Cowabunga.
Yeah.
Wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza. Oh, a fellow chucker, eh?
I had to do both of them.
Yeah.
For the end of the show there.
The little sound effect at the end of the chucker, the wow, cracks me up every time.
Then you hear. You know, it's crazy. Until HD, I didn't realize that he was balancing it on his finger. I never knew that. I always thought it was just. I thought he was holding on to one of them, and it was just spinning by itself.
Yeah,
but
the beauty of HD.
Then I watched it in HD. I was like, wait a minute, he's spinning it.
Keep practicing.
Yeah, I want to go watch that now.
Oh, it's so good.
He says,
I love that movie.
Rampage says, so when I first found y'all's podcast, I used to think the intro and outro was pre-recorded because of your consistency. Well, actually, didn't it used to be? I don't remember. Or have I always used I think I've always used a soundboard. I got good at using the soundboard back in the Pop Culture Palette days, so I just kind of brought it over.
Yeah, you've used the soundboard since the beginning.
But yeah, I think back in the Broke Nerdcast days, I used to put them in post, but then I got a soundboard and started just doing it live because it just makes life so much easier.
Yes. Yes, it does.
But thank you guys for watching, and I hope you all have a safe and happy 2023. And let's just, fingers crossed, this is a good year for everybody. He says, no, I mean, when you're talking, introducing the show. Well, yeah, I mean, all I got to do is hit the play button, just let it go. And then I have my little sliders here that I can make it louder. But yeah, you get used to it. Well, after a while.
We've introduced and ended the show pretty much the same way as far as like what we say.
Yeah.
And everything since the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, I could pretty
Sorry,
much
I had to
do
pop
it.
another cough drop in my mouth.
Yeah, I can
my voice was starting to go towards the end.
Yeah, I can pretty much do it from memory these days. And, you know, I still look at it, and it messes me up to actually look at it. So I try and not look at it and just do it from memory. But that's going to do it. Hope you guys have a safe and happy 2023. Fingers crossed everything is good this year. It's an odd-numbered year, so let's make it a good one, you guys.
Let's have a good year, everybody.
But thank you all for watching, and we will see you guys next week.